2025 announced as the year to quit daydreaming and snap back to reality. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. I won't do it again, I promise. I'm going to meet and become my best self in 2025. And to get there, I need to get out of my way, get out of my head, get out of my fantasies, and live on planet Earth. And to do that, I've compiled 7 amazing quotes that I found online, 7 new different ways of thinking this, ways of approaching this problem. So hopefully in the new year and to get me through the whole rest of the year, I can stay out of my daydreams. This comes from, I don't know if it's actually from this user, but it appears that at some point, How to School wrote about this on, I think, wait, this isn't Imgur, this is Tumblr. Sorry, I'm a Pinterest girly, I don't recognize it. Once you stop fantasizing about that ideal version of yourself and start working towards becoming that person by setting your alarm clock earlier and actually going to the gym and actually volunteering at places and actually eating healthier and not procrastinating and working just a little bit harder, you'll realize that it was so easy all along. Becoming your ideal self will only ever exist in your mind until you make the decision to work towards becoming that person. Get up, get going. It's now or never. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. Get that flashlight and pave your own path, bitch, because no one else is going to do it for you. I'm sorry, it got a lot less serious at the end. But that's fine. It gives me everything I needed and more. I'm down for this. I appreciate how many times it says actually, because it's like, we're not doing things in a daydream. We're not living life in a daydream. We need to do things in actuality, in reality. And I like that it calls out procrastination, because I am positive that a lot of maladaptive daydreaming is anxiety driven. It's definitely escapist. It's very avoidant. And procrastination is definitely a very avoidant trait. And also, I like how it says it was actually so easy all along. I can definitely agree with that. When I had my successful weight loss run about 2 or so years ago, yeah, I definitely came to that conclusion too. At one point, I really was looking back at it and I'm like, first of all, I hate that I I hate that like I kept putting off doing it for so long because I was like afraid or intimidated or just had like any and every excuse to not go for it. I hate that I did that because I felt like it was such a like wonderful, good thing that I finally did for myself. And I was so happy that I did it. So I hate that I waited because the positive part of it was more than I could have ever imagined. But also because it's like, it was really just a lot of small steps. And I felt like early on, I never really had anything that I should have been afraid of. It wasn't this like big, scary, like super difficult thing when you're in it and you're just taking it one day at a time. I think people get intimidated when you look at like the grand timeline and you're like, oh my God, it's gonna be a long-term or lifelong goal to lose weight and then to maintain it. And I get it, like, yeah, that is definitely intimidating, but like, I don't know, once you're actually in it and you're putting forth the work, once you're actually like in the routine and doing it, I feel like a lot of that like fear of the unknown, like assuming the worst of it goes away because now you are there. You know for a fact that like it wasn't this big, mysterious, scary thing. It's just what you do now. That is absolutely something that I have to remember this year, especially as I'm coming into like the beginner again phase where like I've done it before, but I'm out of practice. So I'm a beginner, but I have a history with it. So given the fact that I've reflected on being a beginner when I was at an intermediate level in the past and having that perspective of like, I really shouldn't have been afraid of anything, I need to keep that in mind. And I need to keep reminding myself of that as like the new year is coming. And throughout a lot of 2024 in this last year, I have been avoiding stuff. I feel like I have been putting things off. Absolutely. And it's like, girl, for what? Like it's actually such a positive, healthy, good, like wholly good thing to do for yourself. So why are you scared? Don't be silly. This next cute little photo is comparing and contrasting thinkers versus doers. And when you look at the thinkers, they just kind of have like a whole bunch of boxes in a row, and they're just kind of like lazying about. And I think in the one further on the right, they're like kind of moping. Like they're not really doing anything. But then you go down to the doers and you see that they have one box from when they were thinking. And then they took the leap and they became a doer. And then they started stacking and stacking and stacking, and they're working their way up. And then they finally got to the diamond or light thing, I don't know, chandelier in the ceiling, whatever that like goal is, and they achieve it. Thinking is going to keep you in the same spot. But when you're a doer, when you have the thought, you have the plan, and then you start working on it, you're going to make progress. But just thinking, just like theorizing about things, like that's not real experience. That's obviously way different than actually doing the thing. Doers get results and thinkers are just stuck in the same place. You cannot live alone on the fantasies you feed to your mind. Eventually, you have to touch your life for real. Assess and analyze your habits, understand your character. Try not to hate yourself for your character as it was shaped when you were very young by circumstances outside of you, and begin learning how to cope with your character, how to build habits that work for you. Finish small projects, finish big projects, expose yourself to more uncomfortable situations, assess why you want to leave that friendship before you leave it, raise your anxiety levels on purpose so that you can grow, raise your workload on purpose so that you can grow, so that you can build resilience, so that your life expands and can be experienced by you in full and in reality. I am sure that daydreams and fantasizing and stuff of that nature, as we already discussed, is an avoidant thing. It's an escape. I'm too overwhelmed with the real problems that I have in real life that I go to a fantasy world where I know that there's going to be a solution at the end of it no matter what, because I'm creating it in my head. And I really appreciate how the first suggestion in this paragraph is to get introspective, like start to reflect on yourself. Because as much as you want to run away from these outside circumstances, like your family life, your friend life, anything else that's going on in your life, your professional life, as much as you want to escape that, and I do believe that it is important to have, you know, work-life balance, like some running away and forgetting is good because you need like space from your stressors, obviously, but you don't want to run away from yourself. If you're running away from your outside problems, that's one thing, but you cannot run away or outrun or escape yourself. So inevitably, the time is going to come when you have to wake up from your fantasies, from your daydreams, and confront what you don't like about yourself too. And that is growth. That is reflection. That's life, honestly. That's like kind of the purpose of this whole thing. And I feel like you would be doing a huge disservice to your journey, your life journey, if you never like, not even confront, but if you just never even like get to know yourself well enough to like make all the improvements that you could have otherwise. You have a best self, like everybody does. Everyone has a best self and this like grand potential within them. But before you can get there, before you can like even take a single step towards self-improvement, you have to be able to view yourself and acknowledge what's already there. You deserve to meet the absolute best version of yourself in reality, not just in your daydreams. In this next gem of a screenshot, I really want to highlight happiness and improving categories. Happiness is 80% purpose, 20% fun. And improving is 80% persistence and 20% ideas. The improving category definitely is the best match for what we're talking about today. The 20% of ideas is similar to like the thinkers that we saw in that previous example with the boxes. Ideas, thinkers, it's theory. It's not real effort exactly. It's like plans, but without the persistence, without the doing, you're not gonna get anywhere. Happiness is 80% purpose and 20% fun. I swear to you, my most recent epiphany that I'm having that is super relevant to me today, like in my life now, is that fulfillment for me comes from doing hard things. And it's embarrassing that I am 28 years young and I'm just now realizing that. Like, I don't know how to say it. I think that it's really, really easy, especially in the age of social media with like TikTok, that's just, in my opinion, like a distracting, and it's kind of like a black hole of sorts. Like it's just like has this immense gravity that just wants all of your attention, and the whole purpose, the whole point of it, the way that they make money is by like psychologically, in my opinion, like giving you FOMO, tricking you into like just keep scrolling. Like it's like the easiest little doses of serotonin, like just enough to get you hooked, and you just waste like so much time on it. If you let that 20% simple fun, the easy serotonin stuff, if you let that amount get too much bigger, like go into 30 or 40 or 50, I feel like you just kind of live a very unfulfilling life at that point. Like, I'm sorry. I just think that doing things that are hard, doing things that require some effort, things that are gonna take a while, I feel like that just gives you a lot more fulfillment, happiness, purpose in life versus chasing like easy fun. Fun is good sometimes. Fun is like rest, you know, but you don't wanna rest always. There needs to be a healthy balance, I admit. And I feel like some people, the message that they need most when it comes to self-improvement is to rest, is to like chill out sometimes. Don't be like falling victim to toxic productivity where every second is a second that like you need to be working on something, you need to be making money, you need to be figuring something, you need to be learning, you need to XYZ, and it's like, it's too much. And those people I feel sorry for as well. I definitely fall into the other category where I think I over rest. It's hard to say that because I get it, like self-care and self-love and this and that, and I feel like people's idea of that for a long time has been like, you need to chill out, you need to treat yourself. I don't think I get enough fulfillment out of treat yourself days, out of like lazy days. For me to really feel happy, I do think that I need responsibility. I need challenges. I need purpose. Fun can be fun too, but I don't know. If I look back on my years, my last decade, I would say, I think I was having too much fun, and I think I needed to chase responsibility more. And I do want to be responsible for myself. I want to live in reality. I want to like my reality. I want to work on this stuff. Time is non-refundable. Use it with intention. This is a message that has been hitting me especially hard lately. When I think about why I'm trying to stop daydreaming and fantasizing and this kind of stuff, yes, it's because I want to like learn about myself. I want to meet myself, my best self. I want to like my reality. I don't want to feel like I'm escaping or I'm running from either my situations or myself. I don't want to like just waste time anymore. I feel like this also kind of ties into like the fun versus purpose thing as well. You only get so many days, not to like give anyone a crisis here, because I know how fine the line is between like, we have limited days being like a good thing and a positive thing, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make the best out of it. And then we have limited days being like, oh my God, what have I done with my life? I don't want to think about all the time that I have wasted before starting this journey. I think that time is non-refundable. Use it with intention is like moving forward. I don't want to freak myself out too much. I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm like, well, it's always been this way. I've always been this way. What's the point now? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you focus too much on time that you've already wasted, it can become a slippery slope into, well, I guess I'm just done then. No, ma'am. No, sir. No, y'all. You can decide to make a change at any point in your life. It is never too late. You always have time. That will be a topic for another video in this series, but to keep it relevant to daydreams and fantasies, I want to be intentional with my time. And I feel like fantasizing, daydreaming, stuff like that, waste time. It's a big waste of time. And I really want to like be accountable for the things that I just did today, for example, because I notice that when I'm daydreaming and when I'm fantasizing, sometimes, honestly, hours will pass by and I'm just looking around. I'm like, what the fuck? What the frick? And I don't like feeling like I don't have control of my time or of myself, my life. I don't like not knowing where my day has gone. That's not a good feeling. It's really not a good feeling. Note to self. Goal without deadline is fantasy. Goal with deadline is objective. Goal with deadline with plan is intention. Goal with deadline with plan with consistent action is success. Personal, meaningful goal with deadline with plan with consistent action is fulfillment. This, for some reason, just like hits me extremely differently. I could definitely see someone stumbling across this post and thinking it's like extremely simple and just stupid. But when I tell you, this really speaks to me, I'm being so genuine. It's the last two bullet points in particular, because if you have a goal and a deadline and a plan and you're doing it, you're, putting it into action, you can be successful. Yeah, that's inevitable at that point. But if you have a personal, meaningful goal, then you have fulfillment. Success is kind of like an achievement, like an award perhaps, but it doesn't mean anything much deeper than that. But when you talk about fulfillment, like something that makes you feel fulfilled, that's when it becomes to me like super personal and like unique to the person. When you have a goal that matters to you in particular so deeply for your own personal reasons, when you finally achieve it, it is going to feel like way more than just success. It's more than bragging rights. It's more than just yeah, I did that, a medal that you put on the wall or something. It's more like, this is part of my story. Like, this is why I'm here. I could also see it being success in this example is like stuff that you know that you should do or stuff that you know that you should want or should achieve. But then fulfillment is like your truest, deepest desires, like your truest, best self has that as part of their purpose. Overthinking is the biggest waste of human energy. Trust yourself, make a decision, and gain more experience. There is no such thing as perfect. You cannot think your way into perfection. Just take action. Overthinking in this one is equivalent to daydreaming and fantasizing. But it could also include like you're worried about stuff that's like not even relevant yet. Like you cannot possibly foresee every obstacle that you could ever encounter the entire rest of your life. Like there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing that overthinking about it and worrying about it is going to even do to help you once that inevitably comes. You cannot control it, and it's not your fault. So when you trust yourself, you're saying that you're gonna make the best decision for yourself when the time comes. And then you make that decision. And then you gain more experience. So if something goes wrong, if that wasn't the best thing to do, if you learn from it, you gain the experience. And that's life. There's no such thing as perfect. You're not gonna make a perfect choice. You're not gonna have perfect circumstances. You're not gonna have a perfect life. The fantasy is perfect, but it's not real life. And in real life, you have the opportunity to reflect, to gain experience, to learn more about the world and learn more about yourself and improve. But when you only play on fantasy mode, you won't grow, you won't develop, you will not improve. Fantasy and theory and daydreaming is safe and it doesn't have any risk. But when you have risk, when you have that responsibility and those challenges, when the stakes are high and the stakes are real, you are going to learn more and learn quicker than you ever have before because you will have to. You cannot think your way into perfection. It truly is the biggest waste of time to just fantasize and theorize and never really go for it. You need to go for it, and you need to risk making mistakes. And when you make the mistakes, you will improve, you will develop, you will change. And that change, that finding your final form, finding your best self, is the whole point of this. You owe it to yourself to try. And for the final point of the evening, I'm going to send it over to our super secret, super special guest. Take it away. It's only a crazy dream until you do it. Yes. Make things real. Don't make it just intentions. Don't make it a goal, a vision board, a la la land, a daydream. No. Stop dreaming and do it. And it won't be a crazy dream anymore. You'll have to pardon her awkwardness. She's still a little camera shy. This is so new to her. That clip is me from 1,218 days, or 3 years and 4 months ago. I filmed that video August 15th of 2021. Your girl has been around the block. This might be a long journey. This is probably going to be a lifelong practice, and that's fine. We have time. Well, I hope that you got a lot out of this video. I know I sure did. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider leaving a like on this video and clicking subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Mom spaghetti.